So let's take our section weighting to the extreme. We have a character from the Advanced Facial Rigging 1, and I selected edges and marked them sharp so that we can split this up into even more PuppetMaster sections. Now, it took a while to figure out the correct settings, but it doesn't take any longer than setting up the weights and painting weights in another program for a face. So all of the experimentation does pay off because you get experience from this. Now, all of these edges are just marked hard edges, so I can use wing selection tools to cut them out. Now, let me explain something around this face. Each of these edges here represents a complete loop. That is, there is a sharp edge on either side of the selection to form an island, and that's what makes a good loop cut. If it doesn't, it just stays connected to the original mesh, and you have to go back in, undo, and then recut the loops. Now, these loops all start out with the chin, and they stop at the chin. The next ribbon goes down, stops at the chin, but as we get closer to the corner of the mouth, we actually get an area that moves around down the bottom of the chin, and this continues radially as we move to more sections down the chin and up and around. And as we move up towards the upper lip, this radial selection gets bigger and wider and moves farther down the throat. So when we set our weights, the weights are going to have a smooth fall off, with 100% being at the chin and then moving its way down. Now, the purpose of this is not to see how extreme we can get a PuppetMaster section segmented and weighted. The purpose of this is to find creative ways of separating out sections. You can do a lot of things with the meta weights and the meta effectors and any other weight tool inside Messiah to sort out the segments you've got. The other thing is we can combine this with another technique on the CD, which is the After Transforms tutorials, where we can use this single mesh as an instance on itself as its own morph target. So the next purpose, besides going extreme on the segmenting, is to find the best way to slice this model up so that we can get the most deformation out of it using the meta effectors and solving this inside the bone rigging. So that's our twofold mission. So I've outlined this head, and we have different sections here on the eyeball and on the eyebrow, and some of them have double sections, so I have points I can pick with single meta effectors set to all connected, and some of them are just set to the ribbons as in the previous lesson, where there's only one edge wide loops that move around the whole character, and we'll have to use the previous lesson's additive connections. So needless to say, let's go back into object mode, pick the head, duplicate this head, and hide the original. We'll call the head here PM PuppetMaster_head. Now that I've marked the edges where I need them to cut, I can go to the select menu and select by hard edges. So it picks all of the hard edges, and each of these edges is a closed loop, so that when I do a loop cut, they turn into their own sections. If I hide the first PM head, these are the sections that got sliced off of the original model. And if you're in object mode, just mouse over each of the pieces and watch them highlight to see if you've separated them out. And it looks like this eyebrow is working. The right side is working. The upper and lower eyelids are separated into a ribbon and the eyelid, and they are separate. These eyelids are separate. Now let's move around the face. We know the center is connected to the face, so that's part of the original head mesh. So the nostrils are connected. We just keep moving down the list as we mouse over, and the highlighting looks like it's correct. So this is a correct cut, and just to be clean, select all the faces that are n-gons, assign those to the whole material so they get ignored on export. Go to object mode, select all of these objects, file, and export selected as an OBJ into the objects folder, and call this one PM_silver_head. While we're at it, let's unhide the head, and if you right click, you can toggle the hide so only the head is selected. Select the head object, file, export selected as an OBJ, and call that one silver_head. So we have corresponding points that match up, and the PuppetMaster effect isn't going to give us any mesh deformation surprises. Let's go to File, and we'll save this scene as silver.wings inside the Objects folder.